Joining us on the telephone line, let us welcome Black, our guest, Mr. Neely Fuller. Welcome, Black, to our program today.
Thank you.
I'd like to just have your thoughts on the idea that because of so many grievances and that this particular year has been particularly egregious with their eugenics campaign and Hurricane Katrina, their, what's the term that they use, their ethnic cleansing. Because of so many grievances that it seems rather foolish for us to just default and get into this emotional involvement, engagement with this Christmas season, this shopping season?
Yes, well, the code covers so-called holidays. All holidays just mean holy days or whole days, and every day is a whole day. So therefore, every day is a holiday. A holy day is a whole day. There's no such thing as a special day. Every day is a day. So therefore, you celebrate these days by doing the things that people are supposed to be doing each and every day anyway. There's no such thing as setting aside a day that is special for doing the things that need doing. You just do the things that need doing on an ongoing basis each and every day, because every day is a whole day. You're given a day. You come into the world, and they say that is your birthday. Now, that is the day that you're born. Now, the day that you're born, you inhale, and they call that an exhale. That's when you start. They call that breathing. So, on your birthday, you start breathing, inhaling and exhaling. Every person does this. That's the kickoff. Then all of the days that you are breathing are called breath days. And then one day you stop inhaling and exhaling, and you stop breathing, and that is called death day. So you have breath days and death day. You do not have a birthday just because a device called a clock. You see some things moving on it, and you say, well, now that's so many years. It's gone past, and so many years will go past, and you will say that I am born every year. It's called birthdays, which we sometimes celebrate. There's no such thing as that. You're not born every year. You're not born but one time, and that is the day that you were born. And then you have a series of breath days, many of them, hopefully. And then you have a death day, and that's the day when you stop breathing. No more breath days after that. And there are no birthdays in between. The white supremacists set that up because it's for their convenience. So they also set up what you call holy days or holidays. And then they set up an arrangement where they want you to do certain things on these days. That will benefit primarily them.
As we look through world culture, world civilization, there have been, of course, many different cultures have defined their own ritual days, these days in which the people set aside to commemorate those things that perpetuate that culture and civilization. When we look at the African traditions, our rituals were based upon the sun, which, of course, because of many factors, geographical, our equatorial position on the planet, etc., the sun was very meaningful in our lives. How do you think, or could you imagine, would things change should we, as people of African descent, realign ourselves firmly to those traditional days that were set aside for African rituals? I know, like, for my own personal self, I commemorate the four crossings of the sun as the four most significant holy days, if one would use that term, of the year. But how do you think this would benefit us if we as a group were to realign ourselves to our African traditional rituals and the days in which we commemorated them?
Well, that's one route to go, but that could be considered kind of cumbersome, really. If you follow the logic, and that's three words that I use consistently. Follow the logic. The logic is you simply do the things that need to be done on any given day. That's all. The things that need to be done that will have the most constructive effect. That's all we have to lock on to. We don't have to set aside anything about anything for any particular spectacular reason. All you have to do to so-called commemorate what should be commemorated, whatever that means, is do the things with the breath days that you have that need doing that will have the most constructive result. Now, what are these things? Problem solving. When you're born into the world and you come here crying. I never knew a baby that came here laughing. Came here crying because everything is out of order. The baby can sense that. The baby doesn't have logic. The logic hasn't kicked in yet. The baby just got here. But the spiritual world taps into the baby and says, now you're in a very artificial situation, a very hurtful situation, and that's why the baby comes here crying. The baby is aware that the baby's been born into a mess, even though the baby brain has not produced, has not progressed to the extent that it can make logic out of it. But the spirit will lead the baby to logic. The only thing that will cut that off is that you have some people here already when the baby is born, and the baby will lead, the people will lead the baby into illogic. And under the system of white supremacy, that's exactly where the baby is going to be led. The baby is not going to be taught to think logically in a constructive manner, but only logically in a destructive manner, because you can use logic for a destructive purpose or for a constructive purpose. In direct answer to your question, as a synopsis, you simply you don't have to think about tradition just because it's tradition. Everything is tradition. Everything that happened 5 minutes ago is now tradition because it happened. It's just a matter of how many times it happened, and that's why we call it tradition. If it happened 300 or 400 times, then we call it a tradition. But anything that has happened before is within itself a tradition and a part of your history. There's no way to capture all of your history in your mind, because in order to do that, you would have to know everything that ever happened. And people simply don't have that much time to study, and it's not necessary to know everything that ever happened.
We have a number of emails that come in. The first email I'm going to share with you comes to us from the UK, as we call it around here, United Kemet. Our brother General Payne writes, "Good morning, Keely and Mr. Neely Fuller. I'm in the UK listening to Mr. Neely Fuller, and as I was when I first heard him speak on Mystic 1580 in Miami, Florida, was very impressed then as I am now. Blown away is a term one can use for how I felt when I first heard him speak. In response to his analysis, which is not exactly revolutionary, but in my mind quite correct if one wishes to combat white supremacism, logic, truth, love, and respect, and not so much reaction and emotion is where black people today should be if there is a black dream to be on top as opposed to being on the perceived bottom. End game means to me all options open and all components workable. Thus, I do not feel it has been entirely helpful to lump all whites in one basket in order to reach a perceived objective. In short, the power base, Zionism, is white, but not all whites agree. So we or whoever needs to use logic to defeat the power base, and it comes down to the age of technique of divide and conquer, or the age-old technique of divide and conquer. Blacks need to let whites know. They need to join us in defeating this entity that enslaves them now and will forever. Thus, their freedom depends on us, and thus we have our, or those that seek the objective of black liberation, first objective completed. Whatever after that happens can be reassessed as and needs be." That from General Payne. He seemed to insinuate that to divide the white system up between the Goyim and the Zionists might be a strategy that blacks could engage in.
Oh, are you asking me that?
Yeah, well, he seemed to put forward a proposition. I just wanted to have you comment on
Oh,
his
that's
proposition.
someone who is emailing in there asking this question.
Yeah, this was
proposing
this
to
was
look into it.
this was an email from General Payne writing to us from London.